Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I am speaking with George Wakerley, who is much better known as Confidential. He has just released a seriously fantastic record called The Search For, and I am beyond excited to talk to him all about it. George, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, thanks. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a real
You're
pleasure.
very welcome. You mentioned you were in the UK before we started recording, but where specifically?
Yeah, I'm in Brighton, so I'm right on the south coast. We're called London by the Sea.
Nice. How's life over there at the moment?
You know what? It's been okay, thanks. The weather, typical UK, it rains a lot here, but
Sure, sure.
yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
very envious of being in sunny
Totally.
California. So
Well, we did have about 10 minutes of rain yesterday, so
just 10 minutes, just 10 minutes.
I'm not even joking. Like 10 minutes of rain and then it stopped and then it was pretty nice out. But enough about the weather. I got to talk about this record. It is wonderful from start to finish. And normally, I want to know what it's about lyrically, but it's, not really a lyric-filled record. It's more instrumental and more atmospheric and just filled with great vibes. So in terms of sound and style, does it mean anything to you? Like, I want to know what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hugely emotional album for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the title, "The Search For," is to do with, for me personally,
Right.
searching for identity was a big thing for me. So I quit a band that I'd been in for about 5 years back in 2019.
Oh,
Spent a
wow.
year, yeah, and at that kind of moment, I lost my identity really because all I'd been doing for a number of years was playing in bands and specifically that band for 5 years. And so I just basically sort of had nothing really left in my life outside of family, of course, to sort of do really. Music was all I'd really focused on in my kind of professional side of things, let's call it.
Sure.
And that led to a lot of kind of depression and sort of bad, just generally
Absolutely.
bad vibes and bad times.
No, I understand. Have you always been more on like the producer production side of things? Or like what was your role in your previous band, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I was the guitarist, but then I sort of expanded
Oh,
my own role because I was one of the founding members to be more of a songwriter and producer as well as the guitarist. So
I
I was
understand.
writing a lot of making a lot of the beats, and then I was
Sure.
doing a lot of production work and then management side of things as well when we were fully independent,
Okay.
kind of getting securing gigs and all that kind of stuff. So transitioning into being a solo artist was quite easy really because it was stuff that I'd already been doing anyways, just not the vocals. I don't
Sure,
I
sure.
didn't do the vocal stuff in my band, so I'm not doing it now. And
Okay.
it's been relatively smooth, but I never really intended it for it to be this way. I'd always wanted to do the band thing, but yeah, that was kind of what the whole premise of the record was for me, was that search for identity. I know that people often spend their entire lives searching for something, whether it be love or meaning
Yeah,
or
man.
their career, whatever it may be. And so for me it was kind of that representation of you're looking for something. And
Completely.
for me, yeah, it was identity, which related to depression for me. And a lot of the beats kind of symbolized times in my life where I might have been feeling, whether I was feeling emotionally great or bad or having kind of issues, whatever it might be. And I wanted it to be kind of that experience of what it's like to live with depression. So it's quite jarring in places where you have like these huge highs and then
Uh,
like these crashes to like low points as well, which I really wanted to get across there. So it was a really really emotional process for me to get this record done.
Totally. And like you you very obviously threw yourself into this because I mean most records are in the 10 to 12 song range. You've got 35 wonderful songs here that it's over an hour, and I just think like in the current climate of the music industry, it's all about like I'll put out a single a month and then I'll end it with an a 4 or 5 song EP or something. But you just went all in and you really put it all out there, and I like that. I like that you're like, no, I don't need to play by the rules here. Like this is me, this is the message, and you kind of I don't know you. This is the first time we're speaking, but you come off to me like someone who just never stops creating. And although you've got 35 songs out, there's probably a hell of a lot more in the demo stage that'll see the light of day soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be to eventually get well known enough that I'll be able to just like drop a load of B-sides. That'll be amazing, and people like
Yeah,
having some demand for that. That'd be so cool. I've
right.
always wanted that with
Yeah,
artists like
man.
one of my favorite artists, a guy called Black, and he's
Okay.
got all these B-sides that I know that he's done because I've seen his old like Vine videos and these like
Sure,
YouTube
sure.
videos of him with these songs that have like never seen the light of day, and I'm like, these are really good. I really
Yeah.
want to like hear them in like full production.
No, man,
So
I get it.
yeah. So Ricardo, if you're listening, do please like release them. If you use it, yeah, right. The off chance you
Yeah.
might be like listening to me, you know.
Yeah.
But
So like what was the decision behind putting out such a large, dense album?
it was
Or
part
was there a decision? Or it just came?
it was part novelty, really. So I
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to.
yeah.
I mean, at one stage, I was thinking, like, oh yeah, I'll do like 100 beats. That'd be awesome. Like a big number like
Jeez,
that.
dude.
It's just such a novelty, and that will get a bit of like attention or whatever. But my distributor, they only allow 35 tracks, so I was like, okay,
Are
well, I'll go
you
for the maximum. I'll go for
serious?
35. Yeah, that's it. You know, admittedly, that meant it was just everything was a little bit more focused and
Yeah,
condensed
yeah,
because
yeah.
track trying to put 35 tracks in order was tough. That was
Oh,
tough
forget
enough
about it.
anyways. Yeah,
That's even more hilarious that you were restrained at 35, that it could have
yeah.
even been more. I thought for sure you were like, all right, 35, it's like a normal sounding number, pretty even for the. No, like they said it was 35, and so I stopped at 35. That's even
I,
better, dude.
I'm kind of glad that I was stopped really because it was one of
That's,
those things where it was just like adding and adding and adding to it because originally it was just going to be like a normal album
yeah,
of like I mean because it's chill hop it's the
sure,
tracks are only
sure.
like 2 minutes long
Right,
really
right.
so I'd have like a few extra on there so maybe it'd be like 15 maybe a bit
Yeah.
more but then it just sort of grew and grew and grew and I kept
That's
I'm
even
such a
better.
I'm so into processes rather than outcomes
Yeah.
so for me, I was enjoying the writing process so much that I just kept adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. And I just didn't want it to end really because then once it's out, it's out. And
I understand.
yeah, 35 was just what I ended up with. As far as
Fantastic.
I'm aware, it's the longest chill hop album from a single artist, like a solo artist. There are some record label compilations that are a bit longer, but
Okay.
I haven't seen any, solo artists. Obviously, I have 4 tracks where I
Yeah.
collaborate with an artist named Amanda Bourne. But other
Okay.
than that, it's just me, and that's the longest that I know of from a single artist in
Dude,
in the lo-fi genre.
congrats because it's killer from start to finish. I kind of
Thank
want to
you.
get in. I want to get in your head a little bit about like the process and the production. Like, how do you start a song? Obviously, you're probably doing this on a computer using software and this and that. But do you have like a set kind of like, okay, I'll do A, then I'll go to B, then I'll go to C, or does it just kind of flow out somehow?
Not really. I
No.
mean, quite often it can be just very spur of the moment. So I remember there's a track on my first album called Night Skies where I was literally just out walking one evening, looking up at the
Sure.
stars, and then like this idea just popped into my head, and I was like, "Oh, quick, go and record that."
Okay.
Um, but I always try and write pretty much every single night,
Sure.
and for me, sometimes I'll be trying to accomplish something. So I remember on one track in the album, there's a track called Relapse, which is something where I was really experimenting with a lot of kind of ambience and soundscapes and manipulating existing sounds in order
Sure.
to try and achieve something rather than going for the traditional, here's some chords on the guitar and then I'll lay some, drum beat over it and then some keys and
Right.
other
Right.
instruments. It was really trying to use just the weirdest stuff that I could find. So I was going out with a dictaphone and recording, birds chirping and cars going past, stuff like that. And then I'll
Love
put them
that.
into then I'll put them into my
That's so
laptop and
real.
manipulate the sounds. Yeah, and it
That's
was
so
just
real.
one of my favorite groups in the hip hop genre at least is this group called Death Grips, and they
Oh,
use
dude, they're amazing.
they're so
Yeah.
cool, and they
Yeah.
use a lot of sounds that they just find out in the natural world, and I always thought that was so cool, and I always wanted to do something like that. And then there's other
Very cool.
tracks out there, one called Maybe We Can Learn From This, which takes an existing track that somebody else produced, obviously, copyright got permissions and all
Sure.
that kind of stuff. And then I manipulated it to sound completely different. So the person who wrote it, I sent it to who like made the original track. I sent it to them, and they couldn't even recognize it. Like, oh, this is cool. What's this? I was like, this is your track, man. And like remixed it and made it into like this.
Uh,
And that was my kind of experimentation because I've always loved these producers like DJ
Sure, sure.
Screw and Pete Rock and Jay Dilla, where they've taken samples from other people's work and made it their own. And I just always thought that was such a cool thing to do. And when I was with previous bands and stuff, I was always writing from scratch. So this was
That's
a
so
really,
cool,
really
man.
new thing for me. So I was just trying to push myself as a producer as much as possible.
It's gonna happen to you, man. 5, 10 years from now, some kid's gonna come to you and be like, "Hey, man, like I like the song off your debut album, and
It's so
I
cool.
remixed it." So I mean, one of the things that I've enjoyed the most about this record is, although there's so much variation in sound and style and tempo, even there's still a cohesiveness. Like you still know that whether you're on song 7 or song 24, like this is from the same record, this is from the same idea. Going forward, though, do you have any idea of where you want to take your sound? Like it's so difficult, but you have to have some sort of idea.
Yeah, it's a tough one actually, because admittedly I've already
Yeah.
started writing the next record. So
Of course.
yeah,
Of
I
course. Should have
constantly
known.
writing, like I
Should have
said,
known.
yeah. I mean, you send it off for distribution, 4 or 6 weeks in advance, and
Dude.
I'm writing every single night. So and I'm not going out and touring in support of these
Right.
albums, so I can just keep writing and writing and writing, and I absolutely love doing it. And we're in the middle
Amazing.
of a pandemic, and it's hard to go out. And we've got, I don't know what it's like out over in California, but in the UK here, we did until very recently have all these restrictions on where we could
Yeah.
go and what we could do. And so for me, going out and uh, uh, we weren't able to go out, so I could either just stay in and just lament on how rubbish the situation was, or I could just continue being as creative as possible and
I
continue
agree.
writing.
Yeah, no,
So
that's been the thing, is like you're seeing all of these artists who may have never made music before, to be honest,
yeah,
come out because they're sitting there fucking doing nothing. They're just sitting
yeah,
around like, oh well, I downloaded Ableton 2 years ago and I never touched it. Maybe now's the time to watch some YouTube videos and figure it out.
yeah, yeah.
And we're seeing
It's
this huge flush of music. It's amazing. So much
yeah,
art.
it's so great. I was talking to a friend months and months ago about this, and when we were in like really bad lockdowns in the UK, and he was following somebody on TikTok, this old lady who
Sure,
was
sure.
just posting videos of herself learning guitar, and he was like checking in every single day to see her progress, and you could watch her go from like
That's
having never played
awesome.
guitar before to like being pretty damn good at it in like a space of
Yeah.
a few months, because she was practicing every single day, and she was like had this accountability where she had to like obviously post the videos every day on TikTok. She had
Sure.
all these thousands of followers who were checking in on her and seeing how she was doing. So that just gave
Wild.
me even more responsibility. I thought that was
Yeah.
so cool
But
to
no,
do something like that.
the accountability is a very real thing. It's like, yeah, you got a couple people watching, okay, forget it. Like, but then you got thousands relying on you. It's like, oh, this is a very real thing. I'm gonna keep up with this. And
Yeah, and
you
I've
keep
started to
doing it.
experience that in my own career as
Yeah.
well in the past few months, where people have started to sort of latch on to what I'm doing and started following me, and they're asking me like, "Oh yeah, so like you got anything new coming out? When's the next album coming
And
out?" I'm
you're
like,
like,
"Oh, I've
oh,
got to do
oh my
something
God,
now."
wait, what happened? What happened? I was just a normal guy making music, and now people want more from me. It's
Yeah,
awesome. It's a
well, that's
seriously
the
very
thing.
cool feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially in Brighton, where I'm based. Actually, I'm a
Sure, sure.
completely invisible guy, or I'm not really very well known in Brighton at all. Barely anybody knows me. But like,
Yeah, that doesn't
so I get
matter.
it doesn't matter at
The
all. In fact,
world.
I'm quite a shy introvert guy, so I prefer it that way. And then like going out into like on the online space, people were messaging me from like Singapore and
Yeah, yeah,
America
yeah.
as well, Brazil,
Yeah.
all kinds of like random places that I've never even
Amazing.
been to in my life, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard your music, it's so cool." And that's like such a great feeling for somebody to like tell you they like your music. I mean, I only started doing this as a bit of therapy because I was really
Yeah.
depressed, and just again the search for, I just was searching for identity, and it gave me that, and helped me get out of a depressive slump. And people are finding something in my music clearly, and that just means the absolute world to me. And I'm so grateful for it. It
I
just
love that.
means the world to
That
me.
makes me happy because I primarily talk to independent artists, and like I hope that years from now or even in the next month, it's like you blow up and it's just like there's like you deserve it. Like you're working just as hard as anyone else. You don't need a super fancy studio. If anything, you're working harder than those that, have label backings or, have like a steady flow of cash to help make their dreams coming. But like you're there, you're doing it, you're home, you're getting past the depression, or at least you're trying to work towards better, better
Definitely.
everything. I love it. So typically I'll ask, on a normal sized album, 10 to 12 songs, if you had to recommend a song for someone who had not listened to your music, like where should they start? This is a different situation. So I'll ask the same question, but maybe a handful of songs where you could be like, yeah, if you like this, start here.
If there was one song, I would choose Lost Identity.
Okay.
That was the first single that came out for the album. That one was, for me, is like the standout track, is one of my favorites. The other one would be, Maybe We Can Learn From This. So that's one
Okay.
which is quite a different side of things. So Lost Identity was using a lot of organic instruments, and it's very traditional in the kind of lo-fi genre sense. Whereas Maybe We Can Learn From This is much more on the experimental and quote unquote weird side, is what I've kind of heard from people,
Sure,
which is
sure.
really, really nice. Then you get the kind of two different sides of the genre, and you can kind of decide which direction you want to go in when you're exploring the genre and listening to other artists as well.
Very cool. You mentioned that you're not touring this music, but is there a chance that you'd like to? Like, is it something that you want to do, or is it just more of like an insular, recorded only situation?
I would love to tour. Absolutely
Okay,
love to.
okay, cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've come from bands before. It's just going to sound really, really ungrateful, but I never wanted to be a solo artist.
Nothing
Because
wrong with that.
well, I quit my last band. I spent a year trying to set something else up. I kept getting let down by the musicians, and so
Sure.
people started encouraging me, like, look, just go on your own. You can do this. You can do the instrumental
Right,
lo-fi stuff. You listen to it all the time. You love it. So just do that. And
right.
so that's what I've been doing. I'd love to get a band together. We could do live shows where we kind of use these beats as sort of a base, and then improvise and jam live on stage, and we could have like an MC just sort of doing freestyling over the top. That would be so cool,
I
and
love that.
especially if we got to the level where I could have somebody like like Charlie Tuna or something freestyling over. That would be
Yeah.
a dream come true. He's like number one for me for like collabs.
Wait, who? I'm sorry, who was that?
Charlie Tuna from Jurassic 5.
Do
He's
not know
just
who that is,
Oh,
but I
he
will
is
absolutely check him out.
definitely, yeah, he's incredible. Jurassic 5, one
Similar
of the
genre?
earliest. No, they're kind of alternative hip hop. They're from the early
Okay.
2000s. Is Jurassic 5, and they're one of the first hip hop groups that I got into when I was about 18. So I was studying at university. We studied hip hop. We were studying different genre music each week. One week it was hip hop, and I grew up in a household where hip hop was banned, and so this was my like first proper exposure to it. And then I was shown
Okay.
Jurassic 5. I just fell in love with them, and Charlie Tuna has solo music out there as well. I've seen him live in Brighton a few times. He's just incredible. He's so cool.
Wow. Okay, cool, man. Geez. Yeah, okay. You're giving me some musical homework to do. I'm definitely gonna check out
We're gonna check in on you
some
next
of
week, man. Check
please,
that
man,
out.
please hold me accountable. Are you kidding me? Okay, so we're recording this in February. I'm still considering it to be the beginning of the year because time is moving too fast. What are some things that you'd like to accomplish, like even like lofty goals by the end of this year, hopefully?
By the end of this year,
Yeah,
I would really like to have had a record label placement on a compilation,
beautiful.
which is something that I'm now going to be working towards now. This new album is out, so this is
Yeah.
my last um, sort of serious independent release for probably the rest of the year. Maybe
Okay.
I will be trying to focus on submitting for these record label compilations. So there's like Lo-Fi Girl and Chill Hop Records, and Kind Brew is one of the ones that I really, really am keen to try and get on
Nice,
to,
man.
which would be phenomenal. They release these compilations a few times per year, and I would love to get onto one of those with an individual track. That'd be so
That'd
cool.
be awesome. See, that's the thing that people don't understand is like they don't understand the business side of music. They just think that artists put out music all day long, but there's so many intricacies that go into the background. You're trying to make things work, but I love that, man. You always have to have goals and things to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I started doing this, my main goals were that I wanted to get onto the Lo-Fi Girl stream that's on YouTube 24 hours a day.
Sure.
That'll be a great one. And I also really wanted to get onto a compilation by a label in Brazil called Music Tangerina. I think Tangerina. I can't remember how to pronounce it.
That's
And
all right. Yeah, I've never heard of them.
oh, they're really brilliant. Yeah, they have some phenomenal music in their compilations. I fully recommend them to anybody.
Cool.
And the last one is there was a playlist on Spotify called Lo-Fi Guitar, which is by an artist called Larry Choppins, and he was basically kind of like the final straw for me to start doing this
Sure.
lo-fi music. So I listened to him, and he's a very accomplished guitarist, and his playlist as well, which had a lot of his music on it, and it just made me really realize like there, guitarists are doing this, and how it can sound with like guitar centered sound, and I was like, I've got to do this now.
Amazing.
I had a lot of encouragement from people around me, and that was just it for me. So big shout out to Larry Choppins for kind of
Very cool.
inspiring me.
So on the flip side of that, obviously there are career goals that you'd like to, accomplish in 2022. What are some human goals? What are some things that you'd like to accomplish as a person, just putting the music aside even?
Putting music aside, I just want to grow as a person constantly. So
I understand.
I've made really big strides in terms of my mental health.
Nice.
I think 2019, April 4th was just kind of a big day for me where
Yeah.
I quit a band I've been in for 5 years. So I lost my identity there. A very close family member of mine had a heart attack the same day.
Oh,
And I
wow.
started having my own physical health issues as well. I had postnatal depression, so all of these things just amplified all this like kind of depression I've been sort of had been teetering on at the
Shit.
time, and it was just I've been on an upward trend since then. So I really like to kind of see just this massive recovery this year. So far, it's been really good,
Yeah,
absolutely
man.
positive. So I'm happy with my progress so far. Yeah, physical health has been a lot better. I've just spent most of 2021 being really ill physically, to be honest with you, just like constant
Jeez.
like flu and all that kind of stuff. So
Well,
it's nice to
I'm
sort of have a
hoping the
better,
best. Yeah.
yeah, it's nice
Things
to have a
things are
better
looking
health,
up. This is
Yeah,
the year,
definitely.
man. This is the
Yeah.
year. Okay, George, I've got one more question for you at this point. Basically, what I want to know is for the person that is going to discover you from this, and for the person that is going to listen to your music for the first time, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
That I'd like to say to them is
Yes.
thank you for listening. Thank you. Independent artists, we rely on people like you and your valuable contribution, whether it just be streaming, even something as small as that, is huge, and we really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I love it. Perfect way to wrap it up. Let me plug your stuff one more time.
Thank you.
Although his name is George Wakerley, the project is called Confidential. The record is called The Search For. It is just amazing from start to finish. Pop it on, show your friends, share it around, stream it, follow. We'll have obviously all the links so people can do that. But George, I want to thank you, man. This has been a fantastic conversation and such like a perfect insight to a record that I know personally I will be listening to after this.
Oh, Austin, thank you so much for having me.
You
Seriously,
are
it's been an
very
absolute pleasure.
welcome. Hell yeah. If you ever make it out to California, say what's up. Or if you're
I
doing
will do.
shows out here, also say what's up. I'd love to see it in
Oh,
a live setting.
thank you. That would be
Awesome,
amazing.
man.
That'll be a dream come true, man.
Very cool. All right, man. Take care. Have a good rest of your night, and we will definitely stay in touch.
Thanks a lot. You
All right.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye.